The new Chevy Silverado HD puts you in command. Own strength with its enhanced available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8. Own the lake with its available advanced towing technology. And own technology with an available 13.4-inch diagonal touchscreen. The new Chevy Silverado HD. Own work, own play, own life. Learn more at Chevy.com. Find new roads. Chevrolet. Welcome to BreezeLine, where you'll say, ta-ta, T-Mobile, because we have 99.9% network reliability, and they don't. That's right. Time, weather, or even streaming in a basement won't affect our superior service. That's because we have real internet, backed by our fiber-powered network. And T-Mobile, well, they just have a 5G cellular network. So for a limited time, find your perfect speed with prices starting at $19.99 a month for 24 months. Terms and conditions apply. Go to breezeline.com to learn more.
Cheering at pro wrestling shows in Japan is back, and 2023 is already shaping up to be a big year in the history of pro res. That's why you should listen to the Emerald Flow Show. From the Royal Road to the Green Mat, Paul and Gerard take you into the world of All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. Not only do we analyze events, but we examine business, who is getting over, what angles are working or not. Occasionally, we take a look at other Japanese promotions like DDT and Zero One. So if you're looking for more coverage of the world of Japanese wrestling, check out the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps.
Do you love wrestling? Do you love All Elite Wrestling? Make sure you check out The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. My name is Tyler Fornes, and my co-host Fred Moreland and I discuss all the happenings of All Elite Wrestling across the universe, including when they make trips overseas. We talk about Dark, we talk about Rampage, we talk about Dynamite, and everything in between, including Tony Khan and his both brilliant and confusing booking. Make sure you check us out. We drop our shows on Thursdays to make sure that we keep up with Dynamite and make sure we give you all the current happenings in All Elite Wrestling.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hey kids, do you like professional wrestling? Well, we like professional wrestling too. This is Shake Them Ropes for the first week of June. Good Lord, where did the time go? I am Jeff Hawkins. He is Chris Novembrino. Chris, who you got in the NBA Finals?
Who's playing in the NBA Finals?
Really? You used to be the Roto guy.
Yeah, I know, and I actually have a losing head coaching record in basketball, and how the mighty have fallen.
It is the Denver Nuggets versus the Miami Heat.
I am going for the Denver Nuggets because the Miami Heat should never win anything ever again after trying to put together the super team.
Wow. Oh, so you still hold a grudge over super teams?
Yeah.
Although
the super team was bad.
And the NBA has gotten their karmic justice because every super team since has stunk. Like all those attempts to, do things in New York with James Harden, and Kevin Durant being on the same team, and it's almost just desserts. I'm going for Denver. I like Nikolai Jokic.
Yeah. I mean, Jokic is like a really great talent, and I would like.
He's ugly though. I mean, his game is so ugly that it's like you almost got to respect it. It's like he just looks like he's lumbering out there, and they'll just put up something that looks like a pass, but it's a 3-point shot, and it goes in. You're just like, my God.
Or he'll do stuff that looks like it's going to be a shot and it's a pass. He's a great facilitator. I mean, he's a really interesting center who can actually be a threat to get 7-8 assists in a game on a regular basis. He's a legitimate triple-double threat as a center.
Oh yeah, you turn around, he all of a sudden has 30 and 13, and you're like, well, when did that happen? I'm not the biggest NBA fan in the world, but I started watching the playoffs, and you're just like, okay, let's see where this goes. But yeah, I had nothing else other than a post-mortem on the Tina Turner talk. I have a car with Sirius XM radio in it now, and one of the channels is now dedicated to Tina Turner. And while I like her catalog, and I especially like the Ike and Tina stuff, I think, and I don't say this as an insult, I think her corollary on the men's side is Joe Cocker, because there's a lot of remakes in Tina Turner's catalog. Some you don't even realize are, and it's like she still has an amazing voice. I don't think she was much of a songwriter. I'd have to do more research on that, but there's nothing wrong with it.
No, she was a hit maker, but not a
Yes.
songwriter.
Right.
And like, I think it's valid for people to get hits off of songs they didn't write, but I also assess someone's talent level slightly different when a large majority of your songs are covers or like purchased songs versus you actually doing the songwriting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And you know, people who use songwriters, I mean, I get you use teams, and that was what Tina did a lot of too in her solo career.
There's
But
nothing
no,
wrong with that
there's
as far
nothing wrong
as
with it.
being a music act, but like when we're saying who's doing the work here,
Yeah, it's
the
kind of like
songwriter's doing some of the work, right?
Yeah,
And if
you're
Tina had written
comparing
the song, she'd be doing more work.
performer to artist type of thing, and then you get
Sure.
then it starts sounding pretentious, and you end up looking like a jerk. So let's not go into that. So, heard any news lately? CM Punk officially back, starting on June 17th on Collision. Yes, the rumors are true, as announced by Tony Khan with a bit of a pregnant pause in there. It's like it was something like
my guy gets better and stronger on the mic every single week. I'm not, and I won't hear otherwise.
No, I need to hear this from the Tony Khan whisperer that you are. How did you feel about this? How did you feel about this announcement? Because it was one of those weird things where it's like AEW Collision with CM Punk. I was just like, okay.
That wasn't the only weird, awkward pause he had along the way there. Like, he still very much reading these, and it feels as though he's reading these cold and only using like the second or third take. If he manages to get through all of it with the words being mostly intact, he's fine with that as the final take.
He's Ed Wood directing himself.
No, it really does kind of feel Ed Wood-like in terms of what con standards are.
More awkward, that reading or him in the hat during Double or Nothing in the pre-show.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. He's an interesting man, isn't he?
Very.
I think that the reaction from the audience was really interesting.
Oh, it was fascinating, and I loved that San Diego crowd for when
They were good. They were very, very clearly into everything that they were getting on the show and everything, and that I thought they added a lot. I think their reaction was authentic, but I mean, so there are a lot of Young Bucks fans in that San Diego audience. I think it's safe to say, based on the reaction. Why wouldn't they be happy that CM Punk has basically been exiled to Saturday Island? You will never see him on your Dynamite. Isn't that wonderful? Are you not happy? Is this not good for business?
Look, there is a definitive vocal part of the AEW audience that doesn't want him anything to do with the company because they feel that the locker room cancer comparison is there, and that it will seep into other talent possibly, or just the fact that they take the story at face value that CM Punk was a jerk. He buried the Young Bucks in a press conference that few fans watched, but got a lot of exposure on Twitter. And then
that the march down to the march down to his locker room with the lawyer was completely innocent and was not a form of escalation, and then a fight broke out that was entirely catalyzed by Punk.
But they basically blame Punk for everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, or 95% or whatever.
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I did find that fascinating because I do think, and I've said this before on this show, I think CM Punk outside of that first Chicago show has an uphill climb And it would not shock me at all if he is the top heel on AEW Collision as opposed to a babyface, because I think it would be easier for him to drop hints. Like I could see him getting permission to say something about the Elite on television, knowing that there's never going to be that feud necessarily, at least with the Bucks. He might get a program with Kenny, but he's going to get boos in a lot of arenas because of this entire debacle, don't you think?
Yeah, no, it is very clear to me that the fan consensus among the AEW loyal is that Punk was the problem there, that the events leading up to and during Muffin Mania were entirely Punk's making. I mean, it doesn't even seem like they're particularly mad at anyone else other than Punk. They're not mad at Khan, they're not mad at Page. It's I mean, the way many of those fans reacted, it seems as though they viewed that as 100%, you're a locker room cancer, we want you gone.
Yeah, everybody was happy here until you showed up.
Right. It was all going so well. Now,
yes,
there are a number of different acts I think we could point to prior to Punk's arrival where you might suggest things were not going so hot, up to and including Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy was not being handled super well. FTR was not being handled super well. There are a number of different acts. Those are just two off the top of my head prior to Punk's arrival where you could suggest that maybe other people were getting the focus. This is going to be interesting to me. I continue to go, what is the point of Collision? I mean, we lovingly on this show refer to it as detention, and I feel like that's a really apt name for it, especially based on this audience reaction. Like, they don't like Punk. They don't even really want him on Collision. That's not a heck of a draw to get him to watch Collision.
I think it's an interesting experiment by the owners of Turner. We have this 2-hour block. Can you do something with it? Because we don't want to just run Star Wars and DC movies or, whatever things. And if you can do something with it, it'll help. And if AEW can do something with it, it helps greatly if they haven't re-signed already a broadcasting deal with the company. But basically, they get this maybe for a little bit of an added incentive from Warner Brothers Discovery. Maybe like $100 million or so to go play around for a year or so on up for 2 hours, maybe. And then if it increases ad revenue, they can do something with it, because look, that 6 to 8 window Eastern, which is when I think it's going to be on there, is it's interesting because the primetime college football game hasn't started yet. The early games have ended. You have games on the West Coast that are finishing up, but most of the population that likes college football is east of the Mississippi. So there's going to be some downtime there in between things. But college football is still an all-day affair on ESPN and Fox and other things just because of the rash of broadcasting. Baseball is still pretty popular in the States. And even towards like the end of December and stuff, you're going to start getting NFL games. But there's room there if they want it. And it's, it's the tradition thing, the 6:05 Eastern, that TBS was, known for dozens of years. You go 6 o'clock, you turn on TBS, there's going to be wrestling on there. Now, all of those people are now over the age of 50 or 60. So the new younger generation doesn't exactly have that. I'm
just baffled again by the premise of like a top heel on a B show who never comes over to the A show.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be the heel though on his show necessarily. That's the other thing, is I just pitched that, not really thinking it through.
I mean, even the top baby face on his show is weird. Are they going to make like a CM Punk title just for him?
That's also, yeah. I don't know how they're going to split these titles,
right?
And what's going to be built. I'm hoping we're not doing because we're already, I don't know if you know this, Cody Rhodes is going to be on SmackDown on Friday. We're already, even though the brand split is quote unquote official for 2 weeks, we're already having hall passes for everybody to go wherever we want them to go. It's ridiculous.
Bring back the 24/7 title, baby.
Oh God. Oh no, please don't. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And with those, there are some. The detention is apt. Just looking at the people who are on that roster and who are officially announced. I wonder who's the first to get pissed off at that situation. I actually, my idea would be you make Los Ingobernables the top heel faction on that team or on that show, especially since Andrade is there and you can get all those guys together. And that show really needs a heel faction that does something noteworthy on the first show to get people talking. Something has to happen on that first show. Otherwise, this show's just going to be, it's just more wrestling. It's just 2 hours of space. It's the Golden Corral buffet.
No, it needs to be a faction launch and a heel faction launch and the establishment of a clear top baby face.
Yeah, to fight them, and then you got them hooked. I think, but 500 tickets sold overnight to increase the Chicago Stadium. Canada numbers for this first tour are slow, so we'll see how that occurs. But it's more product, and you're gonna sit there and like it. But hopefully they do some sort of tonal change to really look. If they can make this thing hot and make it different than Dynamite, then Dynamite might, Dynamite's a little lazy at times. Can we say that?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think
people are happy to be on TV. Yeah,
that's been a sustaining critique from us of the show. It's not that any of the matches are necessarily. It's not the match quality.
No, it's that they're lazy. When I say lazy, I mean they have goodwill from the audience. Whatever they put on there, people are going to like it, and then they're going to stick the landing at the pay-per-view, and fine. But the week-to-week booking is somewhat lacking on the show. They just kind of make matches to make matches.
And the flow of the shows overall is often slapdash.
Yes.
Yeah. There never feels to be like a running through line. It's just things happen.
Love is in the air, Chris. Babies are being made.
Oh, where?
Well, Carmella, who previously announced that she was pregnant, announced that she's having a baby boy with Corey Graves, and one Alexa Bliss announced her pregnancy with Ryan Cabrera via Instagram and PR Flax and E Entertainment and things like that. So she will be on the shelf for a while too. There were rumors that she was waiting on creative to come up with something for her, and creatively came up with something else for her. But yes, Alexa Bliss gone for a while. So I find that a little sad, and I do like Alexa Bliss. It's just one of those things where that Fiend story really overexposed some of the campy parts of WWE that people don't like at times, but happy for them.
Yeah, no, the Fiend stuff was pretty wretched.
Yes.
Pretty wretched.
Rumored to be the Cody feud for SummerSlam, by the way.
Oh, good.
Oh, you said sorry.
No. Here's the thing. What I need you to understand. Okay, if you could put a cap on the giggles for a second here.
Okay.
What I need you to understand is that WWE is telling us a 10-chapter story, and that we're only on chapter 3 here, and chapter 3 is the Fiend and Cody Rhodes.
So both the Bloodline and the Fiend story are multiple volume stories, is what you're telling me?
Yes, this is an anthological, is I believe the word, type of story.
Okay. On the injury front, Braun Strowman may require surgery. Undisclosed injury taken off of creative plans per PW Insider.
You think he strained his dick?
Where did that come from?
I just let it fly sometimes.
Returns and title wins as we saw over this past week. Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey are your new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Asuka, your current God, which one did she win? The Raw or the SmackDown one? I can't remember right now. Chris Statlander, your TBS champion. Looks like all the title changes on these major shows were in the women's division. Tiffany Stratton, your new NXT Women's Champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Nothing but women. Boy, watching that women's tag match, by the way, I have come to the conclusion that Sonya Deville is everything that they want Ronda Rousey to be. Ronda Rousey was not good in that match at all. That was all Shayna Baszler during the match. It just so happened that Ronda got the final, submission on Shotzi. Both Io and Bailey doing some heavy lifting in certain parts of that match as well. But I was shocked by the Asuka title win. Got to be honest with that. Did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock.
And it was good to see Chris Statlander win, but talk amongst the slacks and the discords that I am a part of. Let me put this up to you as we head into the lazy river of wrestling wrestling criticism. Was the Chris Statlander title win handled poorly? Because it's a baby face coming out to a heel who is admittedly given an open challenge through her manager and comes in and wins the title off of a weakened opponent. Was that poorly handled, or was that okay? Were you okay with it?
Well, I'm okay with it, but only because, as we discussed in the preview episode, I have long since given up on the idea that they have any sort of coherent story that they were trying to tell with Jade Cargill.
Again here, she was a babyface on her entrance.
Yeah, they never knew what they were doing with her throughout this title reign. It was just, well, she keep winning matches. But that's like not a story in and of itself. And you might go, well, that's all that Bill Goldberg did. No, like the whole thing with Bill Goldberg is he was singularly focused on just winning. He didn't want to talk. He didn't want to like hang out with anybody. He had no friends. The story, such as it was, and I know WCW duffed it, but like for the first 75 wins, all the way up to Raven, is Bill Goldberg is a singularly focused individual who wins and wins and wins because it's the only thing he cares about. Kind of like a Jordan figure.
Yeah, he wasn't courting hip hop figures. He wasn't the feminist story of the mother and who's doing this for her daughter. There are none of those side stories.
Yeah, he didn't
involve
assemble
Bill
like
Goldberg.
a little Bill Goldberg posse that all hung out around him, who he'd occasionally belittle.
He didn't go through bad manager after bad manager after bad manager. He was just a badass, came in, destroyed people, and left.
That would have been better than what we ended up doing with Jade Cargill, which was a bunch of flailing characterization throughout this entire title reign. Flailing is the best way to typify it. And
I think you got to bring her back as a babyface. I think her as a monster babyface would be a good thing.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, she's clearly got some connection with the fans. I think she needs a lot of work still. But I think that she can do that work, and it makes more sense for her to be doing that work without the title. We tried this. It didn't really ever click. Can we all say that now? Like, she never really had like a great match with anyone. She had some real eggs like Marina Shafir, but like you're really hard pressed to like come up with a good one.
She didn't have a straw hat like Marina Shafir did.
No, well, most of us don't have a straw hat like Marina. That's
who I am.
Yeah.
That promo will live rent free in my head for the rest of my life. The good news about this weekend was if you watched any of the 3 shows that were on, you got some good wrestling. So it's going to be a nice, tasty post-mortem while we intersperse stuff that happened on Dynamite. Plenty to select from this week, Chris. I will allow you to start.
Okay, where do I want to begin? Let us talk about. Let's do AEW. We'll do AEW.
Okay.
I thought the Anarchy in the Arena stuff was great.
I love that match. I thought
That
that
was a
was a
great
lot
match.
of fun.
I enjoyed I enjoyed the band just playing over and over and over again. Like that was such a funny gimmick. And the crowd started getting into it as the band would like kind of come back around or circle back around. They'd do a solo. All of that was good. And even the Young Bucks spot where they super kick the lead singer so that there's finally an out for the band to stop playing was really good. I thought that the match was generally pretty well handled. And then the next night on Dynamite here, like Don Callis has just insane nuclear heat. It was kind of impressive to see someone just get that level of booze.
Oh, people standing and booing and screaming. I adored that San Diego crowd for that.
Oh, that was awesome.
I was like, this is what I want in all of my wrestling. This is what I want every time a heel gets up to speak, as opposed to the what treatment, like Trish Stratus on her promo this week. No, I love this. The thing that impressed me most about that, and I'll get back to other matches on that Double or Nothing card in a moment, but Takeshita's poise as a heel shocked the hell out of me. He was not rattled by that crowd at all, and went in on the promo. I saw a translated version of the promo that I retweeted on my Twitter feed. Cut a promo in Japanese. Basically said he's going to destroy the Elite and be better than Kenny Omega ever was. Both guys. I mean, this is what I've been waiting for in some sort of heel stable. Please, yes, I want hated heels, and I want people to hate them, and I want them to just say, "We're just going to destroy you," and I'm good with that.
Yeah, no, I thought this was good. I didn't think it like overshadowed anything in the main event. Even though it was somewhat predictable, I didn't think predictable is bad in this case. Which it's your turn, so I was my next topic was gonna be the main event or the
of Dynamite or of Double or Nothing.
The other main event of Double or Not, the title match.
Oh, we can go in that. That's fine.
Okay.
I thought it over delivered. I did. I thought it was really, really good.
The Spanish Fly was crazy.
Yes, Sammy was great in that match. I know he had no chance of winning. Very surprised by the crowd turning on Jungle Boy for not turning. Very surprised by that.
Yes. No, the crowd was ahead of Jungle Boy on this turn, and I think the reason they were mad at him for not turning was that, like, technically it wasn't against the rules for him to use the belt, right?
Right.
And second, like it's yet again Jungle Boy going like, I won't do what it takes to win.
Yeah.
Like that's actually kind of annoying. Like that's actually an annoying characteristic of somebody. You know what I mean? Like especially if you really like somebody, like in this world, right? Like everyone thinks karma's real or whatever, but like the reality is like bad things happen to good people all the time, and oftentimes good people don't get like, they're just desserts or whatever. And so like in little moments where there's a good person who might actually benefit from a bad bounce, so to speak, and they get the W, we don't boo that because it's infrequent. We're not against that.
Yeah, it's not against the rules.
Right.
Why not do it?
Right, because MJF then turns around and wins the match using the belt. You stupid idiot, Jack Perry.
Yes, this is stupid babyface syndrome.
You stupid idiot. The belt was legal. Was it honorable? I don't know what is honorable in this context. It was kind of like when Don Callis yelled out hilariously on commentary during the main event, he's using a chair. That can't possibly be legal. Great line. It wasn't even a real heel moment. Like a heel moment would be the referee has been ref bumped, and you're using the title belt illegally, and it would be a thing you would normally get disqualified for, but you're cheating and you're breaking the rules. He wasn't even breaking the rules here. He just didn't want to use a weapon.
I'm going to give a general overview of this pay-per-view because it wasn't a great pay-per-view. It was not. It was very good at the end. The Battle Royal happened, and then there was kind of a lull. For me, it came back up during the tag title match, which I loved. I loved that. I loved everything about that thing. But this crowd took a while for them to get into it. And then it eventually crescendoed into once the Pillars match started. A lot of blame I will put on that first hour on Jim Ross. Jim Ross was dreadful in the first hour of his commentary, to the point where I'm actually watching this in Phoenix with my father, who doesn't like wrestling really, but will watch it occasionally. He went to shows when he was in the Navy. You know, he knows wrestling, but he doesn't watch it. And he had to leave the room because the commentators were bickering with each other so much. He's like, why do these people hate each other so much? I don't understand that. And he just left because he just could not take Jim Ross's crankiness anymore, or Taz and him bickering all the time. That being said, not enough love was given to that FTR versus Lethal and Jarrett match, in my opinion, because it was just pure. Well, part of the problem is also this entire pay-per-view was completely overbooked. Every match had interference, including the one-on-one match, which was the only one-on-one match on the card, which was the women's title match. It was just way too many gimmicks and smoke and mirrors, and everybody was using chairs and ladders and tables. It felt like, I mean, it felt a little like, you know how people lionize ECW and they thought all it was about hardcore wrestling, and then they put on a bunch of shows like that in like XPW in the early aughts. That's what it felt like to me at times. You know, compared it a bit to Starrcade 83 a little, because Starrcade 83 was a lot like that. But dude, I hate to say this, but I'm going to. The auditory moment of me cheering during this pay-per-view was when Aubrey got hit with a guitar. Because I just adored Sanjay's like, no, you're not going to help. You're not going to help. And then Karen Jarrett comes out with the guitar. I was like, finally, someone has stopped this menace.
Yes, I've gotten tired of Aubrey as well. You know, she's not bad, but I reached a saturation point.
Yes,
with
that's me. Yeah. But now she's gonna get a spot where she gets revenge, and I'm kind of looking forward to it in some ways. I loved Mark Briscoe taking the bump from the guitar too, and then Jarrett just absolutely losing it on him. Look, this was a match for me, and I'm just gonna hold it in my heart and say I loved it. You guys can have Anarchy in the Arena. I'm gonna have that tag match as something to keep me warm at night when I think of this Double or Nothing pay-per-view.
Well, I think we can all have Anarchy in the Arena. Yes, Anarchy in the Arena was good. That was good and entertaining. And see, look, I can say nice things about people. Isn't that wonderful?
Your turn, sir.
Yeah. So, what I cannot say good things about Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. This is the feud that will not get interesting. It refuses to die. It refuses to interest me. It is a fetid corpse that I poke with a stick, but it's not intriguing. It's just there. That's what I have to say about it.
Bumped like hell in this match, though. It wasn't good, but boy, I would not be shocked if JC Jane shows up on SmackDown tomorrow as part of Bayley's entourage.
Yeah, as maybe Bayley's entourage. I mean, now that Trish has Zoe Stark, I guess JC Jane would make some sense.
Yeah, I just it's one of those things where it's like, what are you going to do with JC after this? Unless you're bringing her up, because okay, you can build Gigi, I guess, after this. Although I still think JC's the more talented of the two. Even if it's so weird, like, because you listen to male fans and they'll always go, the more attractive one to them is always the bigger star. And I'm just
right. So they like Gigi because they like Gigi.
yes.
But JC's the actual one who rises above really lousy material. And like, I can't stress this enough. If you don't see it with her right now, I can't even really blame you because it's been months of bad road. But you and I, having watched as much as we have actually seen her be really good, like really sharp. And she was like the key part of that tag team. Like JC Jane's where the action's at in that duo. I don't know that they're going to get her. And I worry that she's just going to be stuck with like sidekick status the whole way. Yeah.
Speaking of not rising above bad material, it must be said, because the match between Tiffany Stratton and Lyra Valkyria over-delivered, I thought. Lyra Valkyria, while her character is dreadful at times, the bird feathers, all that other stuff, the match itself, I thought, was pretty good. The Tiffany celebration was one of the worst things I've seen on NXT in a long, long time. It's writers who don't get that character, and it's someone who obviously was not comfortable with all the lines she had to memorize, and you can see her memorizing them as she's trying to recite them. She's trying to recite them all correctly instead of just giving her a couple points and letting her flow, because she gets the character. If you watch her in small vignettes and other things, Tiffany Stratton gets her character better than most people on that roster. But that thing and having her to go out there and talk and talk and talk just killed her aura in many ways, I think. It was just such a bad.
The new Chevy Silverado HD puts you in command. Own strength with its enhanced available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8. Own the lake with its available advanced towing technology. And own technology with an available 13.4-inch diagonal touchscreen. The new Chevy Silverado HD. Own work, own play, own life. Learn more at Chevy.com. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
And it's a main roster trope of the celebration after you win the title. I get it. This thing, I did not enjoy it at all.
No, this should be the establishing of what the dynamic of you as champion is going to be like. If there's any point in doing this type of segment at all, and absent that, if you don't have a clear sort of sense of what that is, you don't have to do the championship celebration the next week. She can just be champion now.
Your turn, sir.
Boy, was Blair Davenport a disappointing reveal for all the backstage attacks over the last several months. This is obviously something that they wanted to get Blair back on TV. They've been writing all these injury angles. They had Danny Palmer, of all people, turn into a mystery, like murder mystery thing, and then, yeah, Blair Davenport.
I'm not overall a Blair Davenport fan.
I know she's not very good.
When she was B Priestley, she was injuring people.
And we generally have a bias against people who we don't consider to be very safe, even if they have other things that tend to work in their favor or whatever. And I don't even necessarily think Blair's got those.
Part of me hoped that they were going to pull a swerve here, because I knew it was going to be Blair for a while, but I was hoping they'd make it Mako Satomura, just to throw people off and to really kind of give her something to do. I really like her a lot. But I'm going to pivot back to the main roster, because we haven't talked about that a lot yet. Night of Champions was actually pretty entertaining. I know people have problems with the Saudi Arabia relationship. I get that. I am saying that with that caveat. But Gunther and Ali over-delivered, even though you knew Ali had no shot of winning that title. As I was telling Chris before the show, I really thought Sammy coming out in the traditional garb for those people after after not being allowed to be in that country by their request, until Syrian relations were better between the two countries, and watching the crowd's response to that when he spoke in Arabic, for a promo and things like that, that to me, it was moving. I thought I watched that, and I watched him doing when he came out, and watching that crowd and how much it meant to him. I thought that was a very lovely moment, and just getting to the wrestling part itself, the Usos turned, or at least at least Jimmy turned on Roman. I thought that was very well done. I'm just kind of, it's one of those things where I'm watching that, and Jimmy's like looking at Jay going, "Yeah, we got to go. We got to go. We got to do this." Jay's been wanting to do the right thing the entire time in every angle, and Jimmy just keeps steering him wrong except
for the first time initially, when it was like Jimmy who was trying to convince Jay to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the psychology of the Usos is going to be really hard to retroactively create continuity on, which is the problem with this thing. Like it should have been Jay, right? Like the through line to me is
Jay should have been the one who got sick of it and done it.
Yeah,
but they made him. They made him a wuss. Jimmy literally says, "I'm doing what you should have done all along," and Jay's like, "Wait a second, I was the one conflicted here."
Right. He was the one who was actually friends with Sammy.
Wait, what? I should have done this entire time? Hold on. You're the one telling me I had to turn on people and stuff.
Right. Yeah, you were the when I turned on Sammy, you didn't try to stop me at all.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you actually were there cheering me on, saying he isn't blood. He isn't one of us.
Yeah, I'm kind. It has piqued my interest as how they're going to get out of this narrative corner, and that I think Jay eventually has to turn on Jimmy. I do. It's like,
everyone should betray everyone. That's how the bloodline storyline should.
I agree. I mean,
the next 6 months is a series of betrayals.
Jimmy literally did the thing where it's like you're standing in front of a house and you have two bricks, and he throws one in through the window and he hands you the other one and he runs. And Jay's just sitting there going, "Wait, what the hell did I do?" I howled at that. I just went, wait a second. Part of this doesn't make sense.
No, like most of this doesn't make sense. Jimmy has always been we just got to do what Roman says.
Yeah.
Don't even going back to that first cage match, right? He was the one saying to Jay, don't fight. Let's just do this. Let's just do what Roman says. And Jay wanted to fight.
And now all of a sudden he's found his spine again. And he's looking at Jay going, "Why are you such a wimp?" I howled at that. I went, wait a second here. Well, I enjoyed it, and I enjoy Solo. Solo has no loyalty to anybody, and it's going to be fantastic when he finally turns on Roman. But it's like, there are certain family dynamics I don't necessarily get, but I'm kind of looking forward to see how they try and write their way out of it.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm interested in seeing how they write their way out, because I've just lost confidence that they know how to do that.
Your turn, sir.
Back to my earlier joke. All right, let's go to the follow-up Dynamite to the pay-per-view that happened on the weekend here.
Yes.
Lost the track of the sentence there. The main event, babyface Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho with Britt Baker and Saraya. So Saraya's still not great. Adam Cole as a babyface, though, is the biggest wet fart here.
Expound.
Everything that Adam Cole does as a heel is sing-along sorts of stuff. But when he's a babyface, that doesn't seem to really fully translate over. The cool factor gets diminished by, let's say, 20, 25%. And granted, he's in a Chris Jericho feud. And those, like, yes, he prevailed over it, but those typically don't end up being great vehicles to showcase what the person that is in the feud with Chris Jericho has. I'm being very specific in my language here because I want people to understand the nature of my critique when it comes to the Chris Jericho feud over the last couple of years here. I do think that Adam Cole, it appears he is being positioned for a main event program against MJF. I don't know if it's like immediate, but I mean, with MJF's horizon being somewhat open right now, I could see Adam Cole being there. That could be better for Cole versus MJF. I think about the time that Cole cut down Karrion Kross, and while that was professional malpractice, that was also compelling, and Cole was good there, albeit bad, but also like he was good at being bad. I could see that potentially helping him, but at the end of the day, he just doesn't really capture the imagination as a single guy, because his entire career, when he has been like a top champion type, it has basically been under the auspices of leading a faction. Yeah. And it very much feels like that faction is his important, like it's important security blanket in order to make the whole act really click. He's not good enough to do it on his own.
Yeah, and his entire heel persona for the most part is I'm the alpha in this group type of thing. And it really shows on his promos that he, it's like, I'm the best. And there's not a lot of variety in his promos for the most part, for me, at least.
Yeah, no, and when he doesn't have a group to lead, I think you really see that, right? Yeah. Like, so much of what makes him feel main eventy or top level is that he's the top level guy in his faction. Ipso facto, he would be the guy normally who would be challenging for belts, because that's how factions work. It's sort of like a self-fulfilling logic, and I don't entirely fault it. It's just that you can see where when he doesn't have that faction to hide behind, he can't get the engine to turn over all the way around.
I'm going to talk about the other half of that team because I find it interesting. I'm starting to recant on something. Britt Baker, I find her not to be a very compelling babyface. That said, I need to back off on a take I had, and it's this. You need to push her now. She's been cold. She's been playing background for the last year and a half, but she's still the biggest star in this women's division. In fact, she might be the only star in this women's division. And it's now time to heat her back up and to put one of these titles on it. Now, that's a problem because Toni Storm just got this, and we just took the title off of Jade. But nobody else has really stepped up to the plate. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a fault of the talent. That's a fault of booking. That's a fault of only having one women's match on a week. And your most compelling woman on the roster right now who's drastically improved is your ROH women's champion. And that's Athena. Because Athena's run as champion has been awesome. But you need to, and the other note I had about this entire main event thing was it feels like they had all the chapters, but they're out of order. This should have been the pay-per-view match. This mixed tag.
Right.
That then like leads to the unsanctioned match between Cole and Jericho. And the way you get there is because of a story point. And here's what drives me nuts about AEW is when you see something on TV, it's supposed to mean something and it's supposed to lead to something. That's just basic storytelling 101. Details are not dropped in other TV. And during that pay-per-view, we had a vignette with a production assistant or what have you. And we went back to the Chris Jericho, I'm a wizard character with a fireball. What was the point of that if we have not seen the fireball involved in this Cole and Britt Baker match? So what the ending should have been, to me at least, you do the mixed tag, and Chris Jericho throws a fireball in Britt's face. And then Cole is so angry he wants an unsanctioned match because he wants to rip Jericho's head off. That to me is the story. But I don't think we're going to get it. It seems kind of weird, and it seems like this was the end of the feud in some ways.
It's like we ended it on TV the next night after the pay-per-view. It's that
Nitro thing that they used to do where it would be like, oh, we did this big match at the pay-per-view just to end the feud on Monday night because that's where we wanted the ratings.
That's how the Bret Hart Hakushi feud ended too. Like they had that really good pay-per-view match. Yeah, and then they had a follow-up match on TV, which was also good, but was actually the end of their feud. So yeah, I mean that's kind of what I felt was happening there. I'm with you, especially now that you've had Saraya introduce the storyline. Hayter had to drop the belt to Toni Storm. The narrative through line here is Britt Baker. She's there to avenge her friend, and then once Hayter's back in the picture, you can have like the Britt and Hayter tension sort of heat up again, and maybe have Britt turn on Hayter or something like that.
Yeah,
like
I'm thinking that.
Yeah, Hayter is there in support, and Britt finally turns on Hayter.
I think the end game. I mean, I don't know what the Wembley match is going to be. I think it should probably be Tony and Hayter in England, but I could also see Britt and Hayter in Britain. I think both of those would be fine. But I think we're building towards that. Your turn, sir.
Okay. Let us talk about this Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy versus the Gates of Agony match.
Yes.
Was entertaining, but also strange. In the sense that like there was so much of this match where like Orange Cassidy was out of the match that at first, because I was like kind of like skipping along, I was like, wait, why is Darby Allin in a handicap match? And I had to rewind to discover that Orange Cassidy is also included in this match.
I really liked the Gates of Agony in this match. And they were a revelation to me in many ways in terms of their speed. And also it turns out Toa Leona and a guy who just recently quit my company played football together at San Diego State. So I was talking to him a little bit, and I was like, yeah, what's he like? Oh yeah. He was like a year ahead of him. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I had a nice little,
but also this was too competitive for like these guys, the Gates of Agony versus Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. I'm sorry, but like no knock on the Gates of Agony. Like them. They are clearly talented. This is not about them. But like Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy against guys whose names you barely know should be cutting through them like buzzsaws right now.
Well, it was also the monster team versus the small quick team. And it was a chance for them to be scrappy underdogs. The problem is there is a bit of a problem in AEW right now in that we're kind of repeating gimmicks for people. Because also, if you notice, Hook and Orange Cassidy are very, very similar in terms of they don't talk much and they always get interrupted by somebody else who's going to cut the promo on them. And they're just going to sit there and kind of react type of a thing. If I were
okay,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was going to say, like, I actually like the realignment of Hook and Jungle Boy, because if Jungle Boy decides to turn, Hook is like the perfect person for him to turn on.
And I think that's going to happen. I think that's when they're going to do it. But I was going to say, for this Gates of Agony team, as much as I like Nana, I would love Christian to be their manager. Just as someone a little bit more serious and a little bit more vicious, and that can send them. I want more of an edge on the Gates of Agony, and they're not going to get it with this.
I see what you did there.
Oh, jeez, it was totally unintentional.
But it was good. Now you don't think Thumbless Luchasaurus still has a lot of teeth to him? You know, there's a lot of tread of the on the tires. Dude, with old Thumbless Luchasaurus.
You know what I wanted out of that Arn Anderson Wardlow promo was I just wanted Arn Anderson to be Brick Hanlon, and I wanted Wardlow to kind of be Will Ferrell and Anchorman, where he's just doing all of the talking, and then Arn just comes in. I bit a guy's thumb off. I know that escalated quickly, Arn. That was such a ridiculous spot. I watched that. I went, huh. All right. They're making Arn more and more crazy as we go on.
Yes.
With the finger gun.
I love that, like Arn and Wardlow's new gimmick is that they're both like lunatics.
Yeah. Well, Arn's gimmick is like, it's like one of those characters like Robert Loggia on The Sopranos or Burt Young on The Sopranos, where it's like an old tough guy who's just starting to lose it. And he's just doing dumb stuff that is dangerous. And you're like, oh man, somebody needs to put this old guy down. But at the same time, you can't not watch it because it's just hilarious to see Arn take his tough, no-nonsense reputation and do finger guns and biting guys' thumbs off. I howled at that, Chris. I just could not believe that. A couple of quick hits here because I watched these and Chris did not. For a fact, I know he didn't watch one of these, so I just want to bring it up as things from the weekend you should watch. Ilya Dragunov and Donra Dijak beat the crap out of each other for our amusement, and I loved every moment of it. Dude, the feud build was terrible. It was crap, but the actual match itself was awesome, and I love it. If you like bloody, hardcore matches, seek out Impact's match between Steve Macklin and PCO, which involved stapling a man's lips together and tearing the staple out. Yeah, it was bloody and it was awesome. And it was Steve Macklin is having the run of his career, obviously, there, but I could not be happier for him. I liked him when he was the more talented half of the Forgotten Sons in WWE. He was just kind of there as an enhancement talent for a while in NXT until they found something with him. I really like him a lot. Anything else from you?
God, getting your lips stapled together. That sounds really
I think that was
brutal.
PCO. I'm not sure if that was PCO or Macklin now that I'm trying to think about it, but because I was only watching highlights of it. I was like, oh, wow. But it was bloody. It was very, very bloody stuff.
It occurred to me this week that Swerve's character is sort of like Edge, only like not nearly as coherent. But like they're slowly turning Swerve into Edge, the ultimate opportunist type.
Continue.
That's all I've got.
Okay.
No, like it's just like what did he do this week that was opportunistic? But like this is not the only time he's done this. Like Swerve's basically the ultimate opportunist.
Oh, he came down during the Gates of Agony match with Nana and Brian Cage.
Right. Yes.
Did you like that battle royal, by the way?
No, I don't like battle royals.
Okay, because everybody was like, that's the greatest battle royal I've ever seen. Because I'm too old school to like this version of battle royals where everybody gets to go in and do a lot of moves. I'm a boring punch kick, try and throw a guy over the rope type.
Me too. I'm sorry, but I actually they're not supposed to be interesting matches. They for a young child. It's the spectacle of seeing a large number of people potentially in a ring.
Yes.
That holds intrigue. But like, I'm in my 30s. I know how these things go now, and they're not as interesting to me as a good tag match, or a good singles match. They never have been.
No, you hit on something. Yeah. For me, the appeal of battle royals as a child was always, dude, there's gonna be 30 people in that ring. And I want to see who the toughest guy is who can hold on and get into like the Bunkhouse Stampede was a different version of Carnage because it was just like guys and, weight belts and jeans and knee pads over jeans carrying, weapons and stuff. And you have that kind of battle royal. I really liked that. But now you're watching it like, and to me, the modern battle royal, and this is going to be cranky old man Jeff here. I don't want to see guys flying off the top rope in a battle royal because it ruins the illusion of what the whole point of the damn thing is.
Right.
Now they got to round it with the whole, well, if you haven't stepped in the ring yet, you can do Commander can do his walking the tightrope, triple Lutz onto a guy. I get that. I get what they were trying to do here, and it's nice. And it was, the crowd eats it up, et cetera, et cetera. But for me, it's like, you put $100,000 kayfabe out there and say, okay, last guy standing gets this check. That's what a battle royal is to me.
It's like a check and a title shot, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just have guys, guys doing nothing, just going, almost getting thrown out and getting saved occasionally. I'm as opposed to everybody gets to hit their spots running around in a ring full of people while other people watch. I'm just like, okay.
I would rather watch people's survival schemes fall to pieces.
Yes.
It's way more compelling to me, and that would be overwrought. Right. But I think it's way more narratively satisfying for that type of match rather than people jumping off the top rope, as you've mentioned, which look, I'm not Bill Watts here, but I need to be able to lose myself in the psychology of the match. And if someone's doing something that's sort of like suicide, where if I was in this battle royal, anytime I saw, I would just be hiding out in a corner. Anytime I saw someone going under the top ropes, I just push their ass off the top ropes.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be my battle royal strategy. And to me, the way a battle royal should be booked is basically 20 guys or 30 guys or however many guys, right? All the baby faces are in there trying to follow the rules as constructed. Just, get them over the ropes. That every single heel should have a different weird scheme that they're trying to work out. I mean, the monster heel should just be like, I'm just going to beat the crap out of everybody. But any mid-card weasel heel, every single one of them should be trying to work a specific scheme. It shouldn't work out for them, but that should be the storyline here. Kind of like Wacky Races or something.
Because that reminds me, I'm going to put over somebody who I thought had a really good week in AEW. I thought Big Bill was fantastic in the Battle Royal. And I thought he was great in that triple threat with Swerve and Trent. I mean, dude is 6'10", and he's taking a superplex. He is just a great monster. And I look, if I had to book him, I'd put him as a heavy in a stable. Although some would say he already is, but turns out the firm doesn't exist anymore. So he doesn't. I might even consider putting him in that Bullet Club Gold with Jay White and Juice Robinson. But man, as their Fale.
Just Dynamite.
Yeah, I thought he was great on Dynamite on Wednesday.
Oh no, I think Lethal and Robinson have been very, very boring since they've debuted this Bullet Club Gold thing.
Well, you mean Jay White and Robinson?
Jay White, yes. No. Jay Lethal is good.
Jay Lethal is good. How dare you, sir? No. I thought they were more. I thought they were good. I thought they were better this week than they've been since they debuted.
Well, okay, but that's starting from 0 and moving up to 2.
Yeah, okay, but screwing with Tony in the interview made me laugh.
Jay White, the idea that Jay White is struggling in the under mid card is baffling to me.
Well, they're. I don't know what to say, Chris. I just want to say, they're waiting to heat him up.
No, yeah, no. I'm sure it's coming. It's coming.
I mean, I liked the second half of the Ricky Starks coming out there and just saying, "I'm going to beat your, kick your butt."
No, that's fine and all, but if I had brought in Jay White in the middle of the MJF title reign, I would have had MJF suddenly have a stalker and have it be revealed to be Jay White, this guy who's been stalking him for 2 months. I'd have him stalking him all through this 4 Pillars thing. And the entire time, MJF is convinced it's either Darby or it's Jack Perry or it's Sammy Guevara. And he's convinced that one of those 3 guys is the catalyst of his problems. But then it's actually revealed to be Jay White. This guy's supposed to be a top level guy. And I just don't know how you get there from here with where they've started him off.
I'll add one more positive note here, and this is the last note I have on my notes. Both companies tried doing vignettes this week, and I'm here for that. Now, the vignettes, one was not good, and I thought one was very good, or at least helped the character. There was the Candice LeRae vignette on Raw, which was just Why am I a fairy? Why do I have wings? I just went, what are we doing here? What are we doing with Candice LeRae, who is so easy to get over? This is handed to you on a silver platter. How good Candice LeRae is as All-American Girl, et cetera, et cetera. But I did like the Chris Statlander one. I thought that was good. It was a little heavy on the melodrama at first, but I thought overall, for someone who's, most verbiage is her doing boop noises with, by touching her on the nose to say how much AEW meant to her and how much winning the title meant to her, I think it did a lot for her. I think we need more good vignettes and we need less or fewer Dark Order interrupting Adam Page during his promo to say, guess you're not our friend anymore. Give me more building up as opposed to passive aggressive dumb stuff.
Oh, the Dark Order stuff too, right? And then Adam Page is like, no, wait, come back, guys. I still love you. You still matter to me. Like,
this could have all been done by just have Page cut his promo, and then you circle around with the camera and you see the Dark Order just kind of watching, instead of just interrupting the promo, which nobody cares about the Dark Order if they're going to go heel. Okay. They're
well,
good.
no. And I mean, if anything, Page seems like the dick because he's more concerned about Alex Marvez's stupid follow-up question than he is about his friends. Yeah. So like, I mean, if you came up to me and you were hurting me and I had some like doofus journalist in my face asking me like, so Chris, when's the next show going to be? I'd be like, cool, bye. Go on the Instagram and I'd immediately walk and go and talk to you. Like this would not be a close call for me. And the fact that for Paige, it's like, well, I do have an obligation to journalism. Well Kenny Omega, here's this interesting breadcrumb. Let me tell you.
Well, no, but here's this important thing. Here's the important angle is the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club, your main event angle, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, oh, yes, Kenny's off to Japan to find mercenaries to help us fight, the Blackpool
we
Combat
don't know
Club.
that. He might be in Mexico. He's just not in Canada.
He's just not in Canada. And instead of just concentrating on this very, very important angle, now we got to drag it back down to the goofball brigade here with Silver and Uno and Reynolds. Hey, you used to be our friend. What happened? You can tell
all three of whom could be interesting, but they've just never done anything interesting with them in the entire company.
No, and this needs this angle, or at least that stable, needs a refresh. It needs a leader, and it needs a leader to make them hardcore and to get them out of just doing goofy crap. But it would be like who's MJF. Well, see, that's bad. I'm trying to think of main event, and then all of a sudden drop this Easter egg from like 2 years ago about this low card feud he was in to revisit that and try and go back to the main event stuff. And you're just like, no, that's not it. This Elite Blackpool Combat Club needs to be segregated from the rest of the stuff going on in AEW because it's the most important feud they have right now. And it was just something where I just went, oh man, this tonally it's not hitting with me. And not that Adam Page is a dynamo on the mic, and not that Matt Jackson was kind of being snotty on his part of the interview, which was
the whole I never thought I'd have to throw an explosive shoe at someone's face, like a snarky little ironic line. I'm like, way to really sell me on this last feud you had.
No, tell me you did that on purpose, that you wanted to hurt these guys in Anarchy in the Arena, please.
Right. This whole like, it's like, never thought I'd see the day where I'd have to don clown makeup and hit someone in the face with a pie, like this, like, Hardy R. Can you believe what I had to do, sort of thing?
Yeah, it's yeah.
Which is even funnier and weirder to say in the context of losing.
Yeah, I want Don Callis to be that version of Paul Jones, but
I know, but I'm worried that Don Callis is going to recruit the Dark Order guys. That it's going to be like Takeshita and the Dorks.
Oh my God, I never even thought of that. That never came on my radar whatsoever. I was thinking, just all-star mercenaries from different places.
No, yeah, the Dork Squad. Yeah. No, it's like Takeshita's going to be the ringer, and it's going to be the Dorks.
Oh, no, Chris, don't. Well, on that feat of crushing veracity from Chris Novembrino, let's end it there. You can follow me at CrapGame13 on Twitter. You can follow Chris on Instagram at DOCTOR_NOV. If you just want to follow the show as episodes come out, we're on Twitter at Shake Them Ropes. We are part of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Shows for every niche of your wrestling fandom, including the flagship, Music of the Mat, the good, the bad, the hungy, etc., etc. If you like me on audio, and why wouldn't you? Well, there's plenty of reasons. But for $5 a month, I'm also part of the Fight Game Media Network, patreon.com/fightgamemedia. I do a show called The Dynamite Show where I obsessively deconstruct Dynamite. About 15 minutes after the show goes off the air, myself and Paul Fontaine record about an hour and a half of everything AEW, and it gets released later that night. Chris has other varied interests that are more interesting than mine doing wrestling audio. He's going to tell you about those now.
Yeah, I am doing music camps here this summer. I at least have announced right now the Jimi Hendrix camp. However, I think there will be one-off little sessions that I'm going to be peppering in throughout the summer season here too. So even though you can do the Jimi Hendrix thing as like one-off installments and just check out like the Electric Ladyland session or whatever, these will be specifically tailored to be one-off sessions. If you're interested in one-off guitar lessons or like one-off group lecture things, they're really cheap. They're like $20 for a 2-hour session, $20 for a 2-hour session. It's like the best deal in music, or music lessons, or private instruction as well. Hit me up on the Instagram. Words are really hard for me right now, Jeff, as opposed to other times where they come just so simply. DOCTOR_NOV.
Will there be a Steve Winwood camp?
Probably not, but shout out to my boys at Rocksteadies.
Clapton.
Well, yeah, not Clapton.
We're gonna stop there.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney. In every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.